Hey, good morning to everybody. You caught me by surprise. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3:30 in the a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Today, I'm finally going to talk about a very famous person. And I've been avoiding talking about her for quite a while because I am just I'm not 100% sure. I'm not even 60% sure what's going on with her. But with the latest video that I pulled off TMZ, I have to talk about this because it is just such bizarre behavior. Before I do that, now if all goes as I plan here, there's going to be people watching this video that aren't familiar with me, that are fans or follow this famous person. And before I get into talking about her, I want them to know, get a clear idea of exactly who I am and my credentials or my lack thereof credentials. Like I said, I have 16 and a half years. I've been clean and sober since October 23rd of 2006. But before that, I had over 2.5 decades of hard drug use. Heroin, crack cocaine, opiates, pills, you name it. Oxycontin, morphine, and this was an everyday hardcore. I was like a hardcore drug addict. I was missing all my teeth. I weighed about 80 pounds more than I weigh right now. I was a mess. I'll try to put a picture so you guys can get an idea of it. I didn't look like this, but more than that, I was in and out of detoxes. 13 times I was out of detoxes. For those of you that don't know, before you go into a rehab, you have to go into a detox to get some semblance of the drugs out of your system, some semblance of normalcy. And you go into a detox first. And I've been in and out of detoxes over 13 times. And they were what's called dual diagnosis detoxes. In yesterday's video, I talked about dual diagnosis. And one of the doctors had mentioned to me that the first thing he needed to establish was, did the mental health condition come first with me? And then I used drugs to kind of medicate myself? Or did I get into drugs and then that caused mental health issues later? Another thing I want to say too is I found that throughout this whole country that you have to exaggerate. I had to exaggerate. There were certain things I had to say to guarantee that I got it bad because I knew I needed help. I was addicted to heroin and crack cocaine, and my life was a mess. I was very close to ending it. And I would tell them that every time. I would tend to exaggerate my mental health issues just to make sure that I got treatment. Because there's always a shortage of beds here. So there's such a need for drug treatment in this country. All right, I'm not going to tell people to do that, but just hear what I said. Okay. That's who I am. I have no background. No training in mental health. But like I said, I was in dual diagnosis and I've been around people that have had mental health issues. All right, that being said, I want to talk about Britney Spears. There's a reason I haven't talked about her yet because I am just not sure. Let me tell you guys this. After using hard drugs most of my life, from the time I was about 14 years old till I was 40 years old, 2.5 decades, every single day, hard drug use, everything I can get my hands on. And I could almost always spot somebody that's using at this point in my life, just by sight. And it's not just one thing, the eyes, the way they dress, the way they talk, their mannerisms, their hair, seriously, it's everything combined. Let me give you guys an example. Just yesterday, I was busy in the house here painting, and there was a commercial on TV, and I had the sound turned down, and there was a young man on the TV, and he had a flannel shirt on. He was kind of young, maybe in his 20s, and right off the bat, I looked at him, and I knew he had drug problems. And the first thing I thought is, this is a commercial for a drug treatment program that I never saw before, because I was sure that's what this guy was talking about. Like I said, the sound was turned down. I turned the sound up, and it wasn't. It was actually a commercial for a lawyer. And this young guy was saying that this lawyer, he was doing advertisement for this lawyer, that this lawyer had won him a large settlement because he got hit by a car on his way to school. So now at first I thought, well, I was wrong. you know, because I thought for sure this was a drug treatment commercial. And then I started to think about it, and I don't know. I don't want to, you know, if some of you see this commercial, I don't want to falsely accuse this guy, but I'm still 99% sure that what I was saying is what I was seeing was somebody that was using drugs. And I thought about it because, you know, he was hit by a car, and chances are there was a lot of pain involved, and chances are he was prescribed Oxycontins or Oxys. He's a young guy. You know, so I probably wasn't that far off the mark to this was just yesterday this happened. All right. So anyway, I look at Britney Spears, and I just don't see it. I really don't. In the latest video, I'll have the link down below. You know, I've heard the stories. I've seen them on TMZ. There was in the restaurant recently where she flipped off people that were taking pictures of her. You know, and some of this could be explained. You know, some of this, I'm not even 60% sure that this has anything to do with substance abuse. I'm not a professional. You know, I have no credentials in mental health, but I do think it's either mental health and or substance abuse issues with Britney Spears, and I'm just not getting that gut feeling with Britney Spears that it's substance abuse. So to me, like I said, I'm not a doctor or anything. I have no credentials, but I would guess bipolar or schizophrenic or something like that. Like I said, I was in the hospital over 13 times with people, with people with mental health issues all around me, day and night for weeks, months, and on end. I got kind of familiar with it. In the latest video, she starts out, first of all, she's talking in an accent, a false accent. She's making this up. Okay, now there's nothing wrong with being playful. You can't, you know, so there's, you know, it's weird. It's kind of childlike, and you can't really understand what she's saying. She's talking about a dress, and it sounds something like she's saying that somebody made the dress for her. You can't, she, between the fake accent and her, she's very excited. She's even running out of breath. I noticed that. She's running out of breath, and there's a fan going in the room. Now, those things, it could be hot in California. I don't know. You know, and I even run out of breath here because I talk so so fast and nonstop. You know, but you put all these things together, and usually right off the bat, I get a gut feeling. And I just don't get that it's a substance abuse issue. Another thing, too, just recently, there's been talk of an intervention with Britney. You know, I've been catching these stories, and supposedly this intervention was called off by somebody close to her, so this intervention fell through. Now, it could be an intervention, again, for maybe she's got a mental health issue and she's not taking her medication. And I'm starting to lean towards that's my guess here. Like I said, I am not a professional, but that's what I'm guessing. So anyway, now it gets even weirder. She's zooming in and out with the dress. The video cuts in, cuts out, and then it gets real weird. She puts the dress in front of her. She moves her leg in what she probably imagines is a sexy pose. And she says this. She said in this fake action, she says, "Guys, if I cut out my Instagram account, don't call the police on me." Because that was another thing that just recently happened. She cut out her Instagram account. She shut it down. And but the other people have done that. Who was it? Machine Gun Kelly's girl there, Megan Fox, turned off her Instagram account. And nobody's, you know. So just these single things all by themselves don't mean anything. But all together, I usually start to get, if the person has substance abuse issues, I usually start getting a very strong feeling right off the bat. And I'm not getting that with Britney. I'm really not. Then it gets real weird. She starts talking about a roller coaster. She says, "Don't be a roller coaster," and she runs across in front of the camera. "Don't be a roller coaster." I tried to take screen grabs because I was going to use that on the thumbnail for this video, and she's going across the screen so fast I couldn't grab the screenshot of her. It's just this boom, 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 boom. I know it's not funny. Okay, well, let me talk about this a little more. First of all, her reference to the roller coaster thing, I really think, to me, that's saying that she's not taking her medication. That somebody probably is saying to her that you're up and down, like, you know, it's like you're on a roller coaster, you're up, you're down, you need to take your medication, so you're on a flat line. People could say that too if you're abusing substances, but I get the feeling that's why she's saying it. She's repeating something somebody probably just recently said to her, that she's up and down. She's saying, "Don't be a roller coaster." I mean, these things slip out. Like I said, she's out of breath. The thing with the Instagram account, that reminds me, like this, none of this stuff was around when I was using, so I have a hard time judging this. But my guess would be when somebody shuts down their Instagram account, they're embarrassed by something they said, or something going on with them. They're embarrassed by, so they just black out. That's it. They don't just erase or delete something. They just black out. That's my gut feeling of why people do this. There's something that's very embarrassing that they don't want people to know, so they just it's a panic mode. Black everything. I'm going black. That's my gut instinct with this. And again, this could be either or. It could be mental health, or it could be substance abuse. When I look at her, I look, for signs of what I used to do when I was using. Like with liquor, I don't see any sign of her using liquor whatsoever. None at all. Slurred speech or eyes not being able to focus. Opiates, I don't see any sign of her using any sign of opiates. Usually people, if they're using opiates, heroin or fentanyl, she'd be sitting in front of the camera, I'm guessing, and be kind of nodding out. She would not be running back and forth across in front of the camera. She could be using a combination of them, but I'm not getting that. Okay, then there's the stimulants, methamphetamine, cocaine, and crack. Or Adderall. Adderall is a possibility. I'm not familiar with Adderall. It's a pill form of stimulant used to treat ADHD. And it could be that. But then again, she could be prescribed that. I don't know. If it were methamphetamine or coke, usually people like that, their eyes dart. They can't focus. They won't focus on the camera, because they hear a noise over here, they think somebody's at the door over here, and they cannot. The paranoia and delusions just cannot be controlled. I'd be talking like this, and then I'd be going, I'd be constantly. That's a symptom of using like methamphetamine or coke or crack. That just in my guess here. I'm not seeing it. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of substance abuse with Britney Spears. That's why I haven't talked about this before. I'm not getting that gut feeling like I get with other people. When I see it, I know right off the bat. I'm sure of it, and I'm not getting that with Britney Spears. Like I said, I have no training or knowledge of mental health issues, but I'm guessing Britney Spears needs some treatment for mental health issues, and probably she's off her medication. And I say that, with all sympathy and all sincerity, that I hope she gets help. I really do, and I hope I hope they continue. If there was an intervention and it was called off, I pray to God that they go through with it, because I think she needs help. I do. All right, you guys have a good Wednesday.